guys, welcome back to our channel. I'm Catalina and I'm here with Steve, captain of the Legend. We're going to go over the most recent 3.5 day trip. They had a great mix of bluefin and yellowfin.
Yeah, we had some great steady fishing, plunker bites, where schools were sticking to us and giving us a chance to hook into them for long periods of time. And it wasn't wide open at any time ever, but if you got a good bait and you got it away from the boat, you were rewarded with a good sized tuna and a nice long fight on light line most of the time.
Yeah, some fun daytime action here. And I recognize that rod too. It's a very pretty rod.
Yeah, I was doing a little bit of hooking and handing on this trip. This is a cat's rod that she left on the boat for me to use a little bit. And this one got bit on 30-pound test and a size 4 hook, a very, very small hook. And as you can see, it landed a nice yellowfin there.
And there's a couple different methods of rigging up and getting ready for tackle. Some guys like to see how heavy they can go and heavy they can get away with. But I think always listening to the captain and the crew as to what the recommended line size is a really good place to start. You can always downsize if you're not getting bit.
Yeah, we try to give you guys the best suggestion possible. Not tell you too heavy a line to start with, and definitely don't tell you too light a line because if you get bit on too light a line, you're either going to have way too long of a fight or just not land the fish. Period, and that can be a lot of wasted time when it's never guaranteed a long bite window, right?
And so here's this guy bringing a fish up to gaff here, and Joey is on it. He's doing a great job of lifting the rod. He took it off the rail. He's backing up a little bit to try to really bring that fish in close to Joey, and Joey's able to stick it.
Now, typically we ask guys to stay at the rail. We see that habit a lot on sport boats, where guys want to back up to help us reach it. But we suggest not doing that because if the fish does spin or circle, it'll rub the boat really easily if you step back from the rail, or it can get caught in the props or the rudder really easily. So if you ever hear a deckhand or a captain on deck on a sport boat say, "Stay up at the rail," that's the reason why. We have long gaffs. We don't mind reaching out. It's a lot safer that way than risking having the fish hit the boat or rub the rail with the line to break off.
Yeah, you can see Joey had another good reach of a gaff there, and Alex is helping someone here. He's really trying to, kind of have that rod tip down, but it looks like the fish is getting under the boat a little bit, really trying to lift and wind down. And I think it's really important, when you're lifting that rod up, is that you're winding down so there's always a bend in the rod. That's really easy for guys to, kind of forget is getting in that rhythm of really lifting, lifting, lifting. But sometimes you can lift so much that the rod goes a little slack. And so, really, just focusing on having that good rhythm is super important.
Yeah, winding the bend back into the rod as you go down. I always tell people wind before you drop. Don't just drop your rod hand. Make sure you're winding already before you do that to keep tension, and that'll make sure that your hook stays tight and give less of a chance that it slips out and the fish pops off.
And so, this shot here is from sunset. So, is it a pretty steady bite all day?
Um, we had fishing throughout this trip, honestly, like almost all hours. These guys got really lucky where, like I said, it was a plunker bite. So we would get on fish very early in the morning and pick away at them all day, basically, until the middle of the afternoon. Then we got a little bit of a lull. And then we had opportunities for sundown bites as well. So there was a lot of time at the rail, and these guys were really kicked back about it. I almost had a hard time keeping them up at the rail most of the time and keeping them fishing because they were biting light line and long fights, and people were getting tired, and they would catch fish and have a beer break.
Well, it seems like it's a great day, good weather, decent enough, right? Not too rocky and rolly.
Yeah, it was just fine fishing conditions, that's for sure. The little bit of wind didn't hurt us at all. I think it made it easier to swim a bait away from the boat,
Mm.
and maybe cast a bait out if you knew how to throw it with the chum line there, right off the corner of the boat. And what a lot of guys were using was the light gear. You can see there's a few level winds in the video if you're paying attention. You'll see some Lexas and some Tranks in there. Small Trinidads as well. Like when I used your rod, I think that's a Trinidad 20 that we hooked it on.
Hmm.
One of the guys was using one of the old gold Trinidad 14s, which is one of my favorite fly line reels. It just seems like the bait swims really, really well with them. So super fun stuff to use, but they're light sticks. You can see like 8, 9 foot rods that are very, very parabolic and bending a lot when you're fighting the fish. So it's not a quick fight. It's not a heavy setup. Fish boiling all around the boat all day, reacting to chum. So it was fun fishing.
And now, did anybody get hooked up on some plastic, some artificial stuff, or is it mostly all live bait?
I would say I think everything was live bait. Honestly, I don't know if we hooked anything on a popper or anything like that. I know a couple guys tried throwing the popper because you're seeing fish boil up all around, but I don't believe we got one on that. We may have hooked a couple on like the Colt Sniper or Current Sniper style jigs, and we actually didn't even have any night fishing on this trip really. The schools were very small that we saw at night, and when we stopped on them, well, most of our anglers were pretty tired from a good long day of fishing, so after having a hearty dinner, they were passed out pretty well in their bunks.
And you can see another few anglers that are hooked up here. Um, Again, when there's multiple fish on, you just have to be really on top of your fish and really communicative. This one is pretty much at gaff right now, straight up and down. You can see this other fish. They're about to circle. They're about to cross. And there's another three actually going right there.
Yeah, you can see three at color right there flashing, all coming up at the same time, spinning different directions. So that's when you really have to react. You can't fish with blinders on. You have to see the guy next to you and see his fish while seeing your fish. You just have to be aware of everything that's going on. You can see two gaffs ran to one fish, and then they figured out that the other fish was right there. It was a little bit of chaos for a second, and throwing multiple fish on the deck at a time is always a good time.
Yeah, and you guys obviously landed them all. So, no, it was a fun experience, right? And no fish lost.
Yeah, especially with the private charter like this, all these guys come into the boat knowing one another, and they fished with each other before, so they know how to talk to each other and tell you, "Hey, I'm over you, I'm under you," or "We got to spin around or shuffle," all that stuff, so that the lines don't get wrapped, or if they do, it's going to be fixed as quickly as possible. And that's really all it's about: is guys staying calm when they're fighting a fish, talking to each other, remembering that everybody's here for the same goal to catch fish and have fun. So, just as long as we talk to each other and work it out, don't panic, ask the crew for help. Most of the time, we're going to land almost every single fish.
And this guy's doing a good job here. You can tell he really wanted to put it in his fighting belt, but the angle of the fish was just a little too sharp underneath the boat, and so he put it underneath his armpit and was really able to, kind of again lift the fish up to gaff, get it up to color, lay it out really nicely for Alex there, the deckhand, and he's able to stick it.
And we've talked about this before. Laying the fish out for gaff is kind of like a teamwork thing where the angler and the deckhand have to work together. The deckhand's going to try to tell you, lift, wind, whatever you need to do at that time. And you have to see your fish and do a good job of laying it out for him where you're lifting nice and slow and you're getting it up right at the top of the surface, where it's laying flat on the top of the surface and you're going to give him a good shot, and that's going to ensure that you get the most meat out of your fish if it's laid out properly, because he'll have an easy headshot for you. If you're fishing too light a line, or you're fishing where the fish is dictating the fight over and over, and it's becoming something where you're not laying the fish out, he's just going to take that first shot available and get it on the boat rather than lose the fish. But if you're in control and you're doing a good job working with whoever is on the crew by you to lay that fish out, you're just giving yourself better odds of a headshot and more meat to take home and enjoy with your family.
You can see this guy here. He's doing a great job of getting low, putting his whole body into it. The only issue is that, the fish really takes a solid run left and under the boat, and he does a good job of adjusting and getting his rod back straight out and also down. You can see Alex pointing below the boat there. It's just really important when you're using that rail, which I do all the time. Just being shorter, it's just a lot easier for me. But I use the rail a lot when I'm fishing, and being able to really pump really hard. But when the fish does go under the boat, you really got to pay attention and really get that rod tip down to next to the water.
Yeah, you'll hear deckhands all the time. Get your tip low, get the rod down when the fish is going under the boat, and that's just to increase your angle from the rod tip to the water there, so you're not rubbing on the boat or the props or the rudders or stuff like that. And that'll once again increase your chances of landing a fish. You can see right here up in the bow, multiple fish hanging. Another nice size yellowfin. These yellowfin were like anywhere from 25 to 40 pounds. I think we had a couple standouts that were close to 50 pounds. And as far as local fishing goes, that is incredible quality on the yellowfin. And that's what makes fall fishing so special in my mind is you get a chance at these great sized yellowfin, and there's still bluefin around as well. And we had pretty much a 50-50 trip on that where guys went home with near full bags and their coolers were maxed out to what they could carry home with them.
Nice. That's so super fun. So, is it just is the water warming up right now and bringing that yellowfin up closer to home?
The water's definitely a lot warmer right now than you see in early season. It hasn't warmed up to the extent that I think it was predicted by NOAA when they said it was going to be an El Nino season. We're still looking at like 70, 71-degree water, but it just feels like this fish is settled in at this point, where it's not in a transition period and it's kind of sticking in an area more than just a couple days. Where in early season, you might be on the fish one day in one area and then it's going to move 15 to 20 miles within the next day or two, and you're just chasing the fish, chasing the fish, chasing the fish. And right now we're seeing fish settled in into an area where we kind of have a good idea of where we're going to be fishing and where we're going to locate the fish.
And also too, it's one thing to see fish, it's another thing to get them to bite, right? I think early season, if you do see some yellowfin or even dorado, right? If it's too early for them for whatever reason, they're just not in the feeding mood. So it's nice to see that these yellowfin are also being cooperative and wanting to bite.
Yeah, early season, you'll see a lot of bait up high in the water as well. Like when you're seeing foamers and stuff like that, when you see bluefin foaming, they're usually locked in on a small bait that they're just crashing through that bait ball and flying up through the surface. And you're seeing them knock the bait out of the water. And we're bringing like sand to the beach when we're throwing our sardine at this giant bait ball. And it's just hard to get the interest of the fish to bite your bait that you're presenting versus all that natural bait fish that's out there in the ocean that they're already feeding on.
Another nice fish getting laid out perfectly here for Joey. Able to stick that fish, and another one that came right up and looks like it hit the boat and actually got knocked off the gaff.
Yeah, and Joey's been doing this a long time. He didn't panic at all, and he just told the angler, "Keep winding, and we'll get it back up." And he actually sticks the fish in like the exact same spot, which is pretty skillful.
Well, we hope you guys enjoyed this video and this trip recap. Let us know if you have any questions on current conditions.